Yes, you've been told it's your appearance, your smile, maybe your confidence. But here's the hard truth. None of that truly makes a man fall in love. Yes, those things might catch his eye at first, but they don't hold him. They don't reach that deep part of his heart where real love lives. Because true love, the kind that makes a man choose you above anyone else, begins somewhere you might not expect. There's one thing that makes him view you as the one, and no, it's not about sex. It's not about acting mysterious, and it's definitely not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's something he doesn't even realize he's searching for. But once he senses it in you, everything changes. He can't stop thinking about you. You stay on his mind. You become his new standard. And the surprising thing is, most women already have this ability, but very few know how to use it. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what that one thing is and how you can awaken it in any man, starting right now. Whether you're in the talking stage, in a relationship that feels like it's slowly fading, or just confused why men back off after things seem to go great, this could be the piece you've been missing. So don't skip around, don't click away, because once you really get this, you'll never have to wonder again if he's falling for you. This isn't about playing games, it's about emotional truth, and that changes everything. Let's get into it. You've probably heard it again and again, men are simple. But that's one of the biggest lies in modern dating. It's not just false, it's harmful. It makes women chase shallow advice, thinking they need to look flawless, act less emotional, or pretend to be the cool girl just to keep a man around. But here's what's actually happening underneath the surface. The myth says men only care about looks, fun, and keeping things light. But let's flip that idea. What men really want, especially the kind of man worth keeping, is something they won't openly ask for. Something even they don't always understand or know how to say. They want to feel emotionally safe with you, not just in a soft or kind way, but in a deep, soul-level way, where they can be their full selves and not feel judged. Most men grow up learning to hide their emotions, be strong, and never show weakness. So when a woman shows up and accepts them fully, not because of their status or image, but because of who they are inside, it opens something in them. That's when the walls come down. That's when true connection begins. But because of this myth, women often get stuck trying to be always agreeable, always available, always supportive, hoping he'll see her and choose her. But the more she overgives, the less he respects it. Why? Because deep down, he's not falling in love with the version of you that never stops giving. He falls in love with the version of you that's real. The real you, with your standards, your voice, your strength, and your boundaries. That's what makes a man fall truly in love. Sure, he might sleep with the woman who says yes to everything, but he loves the woman who makes him want to rise up. Here's something that might surprise you. Men don't fall in love during the romantic scenes, not during candlelight dinners or passionate kisses. They fall in love in the quiet, everyday moments. It happens in the times when you challenge him kindly, when you call him out with care, when you let him sit in silence without trying to fix anything. When you see his fear and don't run from it. When you choose to walk away instead of begging for answers. That's when he feels you're different. Because any woman can be attractive, any woman can flirt and laugh at his jokes. But not every woman can reach the hidden places he keeps guarded. And this is where that old myth breaks down completely. The idea that men don't care about emotional connection. The truth is, men are craving it. But most of them have been taught to avoid it until someone like you shows them how good it feels. When you become the woman who can hold space for that, without losing yourself, you stop being just another option, you start becoming something much deeper, home. So if you've ever asked yourself why men back off after it seemed like things were going well, or why you always seem to attract the ones who aren't emotionally open, it might be because the old ideas made you focus on what men seem to want, not what they actually need. And once you know the difference, you hold the key to his heart, not through playing tricks or putting on an act, but through honest, emotional presence. That's what builds love that stays. That's what makes a man realize you're the one, not because you were perfect, but because you saw the parts of him he never thought anyone would understand. And that completely changes the story. There's one emotional switch that flips something inside a man so deeply, he doesn't even realize it's happening until he's already attached. It's not about lust. It's not even about admiration. It's something far more meaningful, emotional importance. Deep inside, under all the ego and surface needs, every man is searching for one woman who makes him feel like he truly matters in a way he's never felt before. And not just being appreciated for what he does, but being truly seen for who he is when no one else is looking. That's the emotional switch. The feeling that tells his heart, this is real, this is safe, stay here. Now here's the interesting part. Most women are raised to focus on being attractive, smart, helpful, but that's not what triggers this emotional shift. What activates it is when a woman reflects his emotional world back to him without judgment and with full presence. Let me explain. When a man talks about something that seems small, maybe something frustrating at work, a childhood story, or a fear about what's coming next, most people ignore the deeper meaning. But when you can hear the emotion behind his words and gently mirror that back, he feels something powerful, emotional recognition. It sounds like, I can see why that upset you. It's not just about work, it's about feeling unrecognized, right? Or, you probably don't hear this a lot, but the way you keep it together under pressure is impressive. This isn't about fake compliments. It's about truly seeing him. Not just his image, but his heart. When you sit with him in that honest space, when you hold room for the parts of him that are unsure, healing, or messy, you become a mirror he didn't know he was searching for. And that makes you unforgettable. The emotional switch is about safety and meaning. He needs to feel like he can be himself fully and still be respected, wanted, and accepted. And here's the thing. You can't fake this. You can't turn this into a move or a line, because men can feel the difference between real connection and just saying the right thing. And this kind of bond only happens when you're deeply rooted in your own self-awareness, when you're not afraid of going deep, and you're not needing him to make you feel okay. You're not trying to fix him. You're not trying to prove yourself. You're just there, present. And in that presence, he feels something he didn't even know he was missing. Think about it. Most women are trying to be liked, but the woman who builds deep emotional connection isn't trying to be liked. She's focused on being true. And that's what stays with him. That's why some women, even if they're not the most beautiful or loud or outgoing, leave a mark on a man that lasts for years, because it's not about looks, it's about energy, about how he feels when he's with you. And when a man feels emotionally important around you, he connects you with peace, power, and realness. That's when he begins to prioritize you. That's when he starts opening up, committing, showing up. Not because he's trying to impress you, but because his heart feels safe with you, because you saw him. And that's a switch no man can ignore. Now let's talk about how this works in everyday life. Theory is great, but change happens in real moments. One of my clients, let's call her Maya, was dating a guy she really liked. He was smart, charming, seemed emotionally open, but every time things got deeper, he'd slowly pull away. Not ghosting, but pulling back just enough to make her doubt herself. She used to respond by chasing, explaining, overgiving, saying things like, "It's fine, I know you're busy," or "I just want you to be happy." But one day in a coaching session, we shifted that mindset. Instead of trying to prove her worth, she started showing up as if she already believed in it. So next time he pulled back, she didn't panic. She didn't send a bunch of texts. She simply said, "Hey, I noticed a little distance lately. I care about connection. And when things feel off, I don't chase. I pause. If something's going on, I'm here. If not, that's okay too." And that one message changed everything. He replied quickly, not just with comfort, but with vulnerability. He told her he'd been feeling stressed at work and really respected. How she noticed, without making it a problem, what truly leaves an impact isn't always volume, it's clarity and calm presence. Let me share another example. Rachel used to be told to play it cool with men. Don't be too emotional, don't go too deep, just keep it light and fun. But fun only got her so far. The spark always disappeared. Until she shifted one thing. She started being real in the moment during a date. The guy asked, "What are you looking for?" And instead of being vague, like saying, "Just seeing where it goes," she responded, "I'm not in a rush, but I'm also not afraid of something meaningful. I value true connection. And I'm open to seeing where this leads, if it feels right. He paused, leaned back and said, "That's really honest." They started seeing each other. Why? Because she wasn't trying to mold herself into what he might want. She showed up as someone who knew her worth, and men feel that energy. It makes you stick in their mind. Deep connection doesn't come from over effort. It comes from being centered, being real in your truth, not trying to earn a place. Another short story, one of my favorites, a woman I coached had been married for quite some time, but said the connection faded. She told me, "I feel invisible to him." Instead of reigniting the spark through vacations or new clothes, she took a more real approach. She sat down and said, "I miss feeling seen by you. I miss you wanting to touch me, not from habit, but from desire. And I don't want us to drift apart in this quiet distance. Can we start really talking again?" Like from the heart, he cried. Yes, actually cried because he'd been feeling it too, but didn't know how to bring it up. That one honest talk brought them back together. The message here is that realness matters. Not perfection, not performance, but showing up honest, steady, and grounded. What matters is speaking from the heart without fear, letting go of the pressure to impress, holding presence without making yourself small, being a woman who knows her worth and moves like it. These aren't fairy tales. These are real women who stopped trying to earn love and instead lived in it. You don't need to transform into someone else for a man to want you. You just need to be more deeply yourself, with honesty, softness, and inner strength. And that changes everything. Let's be honest, there are certain things that instantly lower a man's interest. And many times women aren't even aware they're doing them. They're subtle changes in behavior, energy, or communication that slowly wear away attraction. And it's not about being too much or too emotional. The real issue is when a man senses that you don't fully trust yourself. That shows up in little moments. It looks like overthinking what you say, constantly checking in to see if he still likes you, holding back your own energy to match his. That feeling of doubt doesn't exactly say "I'm not enough." It actually says, "I need you to tell me I am." And the strange thing is, even the most emotionally available men start to withdraw when they feel they're becoming someone's source of emotional oxygen. When you rely on him to feel seen, to feel secure, to feel whole, that's when attraction slowly fades away, because a man who is really worth your time isn't looking for someone to follow him around. He wants a woman who already knows she matters, who isn't trying to earn his affection with effort or pleasing behavior. Another major issue is emotional games and passive responses. When a woman says "I'm fine," but clearly isn't, or avoids expressing her needs, or tries to pull away just to see if he'll chase it, might seem like it gives you control, but to a stable man, it just feels exhausting. Good men don't want to play detective. They don't want to guess what's wrong. They're not intrigued by confusion. They're drawn to honesty, telling the truth with no hidden messages is what attracts them. But the second he feels like he's part of some strategy he didn't agree to, he shuts down emotionally. And we have to talk about oversharing too soon. A big dating mistake is thinking being vulnerable means unloading everything. Your fears, your past, your heartbreaks, your doubts, hoping it brings closeness. But vulnerability without limits becomes emotional dumping. And men pull back from that. It feels like being handed someone else's pain with no warning and being asked to fix it. Instead, what actually creates connection is balanced vulnerability, where you share real things slowly without making him feel responsible for your healing. That kind of openness builds curiosity, builds trust. It lets him come closer without pressure. Another behavior that pushes men away is when caring becomes clinginess. Texting all the time, asking for constant reassurance, needing to talk every single day. Those actions, they don't say love, they say fear, and fear is what kills attraction, because love grows in space and choice, not pressure and force. Men fall when they feel they can choose you, not when they feel forced to take care of your emotions. So what really makes a man lose interest fast? It's the energy that feels heavy, or desperate conversations that don't reflect emotional maturity, when your actions and words don't match, or when love is given with fear behind it. You don't need to be flawless, you need to be grounded. Confidence isn't loud, it's steady. And emotional responsibility is the root of true connection. This isn't about chasing love. It's about becoming the version of yourself that love naturally wants to move toward. And when you do that, he doesn't walk away, he steps closer. Real attraction isn't about sparks. It's about emotional depth. And here's the truth, that depth doesn't come from being flashy. It comes from being steady. When a man meets a woman who's grounded in herself, who gives warmth but holds her boundaries, something shifts inside him. It's like a deep calm, a sense that he doesn't want to lose this connection. Not because she dazzled him, but because she felt real. And that's where people usually get confused. They chase excitement, they chase highs, big gestures, huge moments. But those don't build lasting relationships. They build moments. Real connection, the kind that makes someone stay and invest, it grows through emotional consistency. Think about it, the women who stay in a man's heart are rarely the ones who tried the hardest. They're the ones who stayed in their truth, who gave love without losing themselves, who kept space open and kept their values intact. You don't have to be the most striking woman in the room. You just need to be someone who feels like peace. Someone who makes him feel seen, safe, and curious. Not someone always proving her worth, but someone who walks in it with kindness and firmness combined. That energy is forgettable. Here's what's real, men. Stay drawn to women who believe in themselves, who trust their instincts, their timing, their voice. Women who can say no kindly and yes without hesitation. Because when you carry that self-trust, you don't need a man to make you feel good about yourself. And that's exactly what makes a man want to stay near you. One big misunderstanding in relationships is the idea that men leave because women become different. But more often, it's because the woman he was once drawn to slowly disappears. She starts adjusting, trying to please, avoiding conflict, staying quiet instead of being whole. And that's when attraction fades, not because she became too much, but because she stopped being herself. So how do you build lasting attraction? By staying true to your emotional foundation. Be the woman who says things clearly. Be the one who doesn't spiral the moment things get quiet. Be the woman who understands that space doesn't mean goodbye, it just means space. Don't run from real conversations. To keep the peace, face them. Show him that you can open up without losing your balance. And above all, don't drop your values out of fear that he might leave. The right one isn't scared by your standards, he's pulled toward them. He doesn't need someone to follow his lead all the time. He's searching for a partner. Someone who lifts him by standing tall, not someone who disappears just to make things smooth. Connection lasts when both people are emotionally mature, when there's balance, your softness meeting his direction, your clarity calming his restlessness, your groundedness making him feel like more of himself. That's what sticks. That's what lasts. So don't focus on being impressive. Focus on being felt. Let him feel your soul, your energy, your honesty, and let him decide on his own that you're more than a vibe, you're a connection worth holding on to, and that's how deep, lasting love starts and stays, not through noise, but through presence and inner truth. Words spoken with the right feeling at just the right time can touch a man's heart in ways he'll remember forever. And the surprising thing is it's often not the huge dramatic confessions that go the deepest. It's the quiet, honest words most women rarely say aloud because most men aren't really shown how to talk about what they need emotionally. They might not even have the right words for it themselves, but when they hear it from you, something deep inside them relaxes, their guard drops, and their walls start to fall. That's when the real bond begins. Here's what matters most. The words that truly reach a man's heart are the ones that make him feel safe, noticed, and important. It's not about feeding his ego. It's about speaking to the part of him very few people even notice. It sounds like, I love how your mind works, or you help me feel like I can breathe easier when I'm with you, or you don't need to fix anything. I just love how much you care deeply. See, it's not about how much he does for you. It's about honoring who he is when he's simply being himself. And that kind of message lands deeply because even though the world might applaud his strength or achievements, very few reflect the gentle and real parts underneath all that. Here's another one that always touches him. Being with you makes me feel peaceful. Like I can fully be myself. Why does this speak to a man's heart? Because men spend much of their lives performing, being strong, dependable providers. But when you show him that his presence, not just his efforts, brings you peace, it touches a part of him that longs for deeper meaning and emotional connection. Want to know a sentence that instantly changes the energy? I really value how you always show up. Not just thanks, not you're amazing, those are fine, but more common when you say clearly that you notice the way he shows up for you, for others, or even for himself. It feels real, It tells him you're really paying attention, you're here, you notice him beneath the surface. And then there are words that awaken his protector side, not because you're weak, but because you let him be there for you. I feel so supported when I'm with you. Like, I don't have to handle everything by myself. This doesn't mean you're lacking, it means you trust. And trust opens a man's heart wide. When you speak with strength and softness together, you awaken his natural urge to care, protect, and give to you. The real power in opening his heart lies here. Speak to his soul, not just his pride. Speak to the human in him, not just the hero. Say things like, I love how you view the world. It makes me want to slow down and see it your way. Or, you're the kind of man who makes people feel better just by being around them. Or, when you look at me like that, I don't just feel loved, I feel chosen. These aren't lines or rehearsed phrases, they're real feelings, and the more honestly they come from you, the stronger their effect, because at the end of it, men don't fall for words alone, they fall for the feeling those words bring. And when your voice becomes a place where he feels understood, secure, and valued, that's when his heart truly opens, not just for a short time, but for something lasting, something real. By now you get that real connection. It isn't about tactics or clever strategies. It's about energy, intention, and emotional depth. But before we finish, I want to offer you a few bonus tips. These are gentle but powerful ways to start creating deeper emotional connection, the kind that doesn't just attract him, but keeps him truly involved. First, slow down. In a world of fast text, quick replies, and constant motion, slowing down is powerful. When your energy, your speech, even your breathing slows, you change the vibe. You become more grounded and more magnetic. It creates space, and that space allows deeper connection. To grow it silently says, I'm not rushing. I'm right here. I'm fully present. And presence is rare these days. Second, be okay with silence. Not every moment has to be filled with talking. Actually, the most real intimacy often appears in the quiet moments, in those soft spaces where you hold a gaze or sit quietly beside each other, and nothing needs to be said when you stop being scared of silence. You let the emotional energy grow stronger between you. It builds a bond that's felt rather than forced. A third, ask deeper but gentle questions, not like an interview. Instead of how was your day, try what was something good about your day? Or has anything been on your mind that you haven't shared yet? These types of questions open emotional doors. Most people never get through. They invite him to open up, not because he's pushed, but because he feels it's safe to share next, reflect his emotional energy. If he's calm, meet him there. If he's joking around, play with him. If he's opening up, match his honesty with your own. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about connecting naturally. Emotional reflection, when done with care, builds trust. It quietly says, I understand you. I feel where you're coming from. And that kind of connection doesn't need a lot of words. Here's another important tool, real curiosity. Not just about his job or hobbies, but about who he is deep down. Be curious about what excites him, what he's afraid of, what makes him feel alive. People open up when they feel someone truly wants to know them, not just love the image of them. And when you lead with real interest, you're not trying to win him over, you're building closeness through connection. Also, never forget how powerful a kind word can be with no strings attached. Sometimes the most meaningful thing you can say is, I notice you, without asking for anything back. When a man feels appreciated, not for what he gives, but for who he is, something softens inside him. And truthfully, men long to be seen too. They're just not as used to it. Here's one last thought. Let your energy speak louder than your words. Your energy says more than anything else. So before any conversation or moment of closeness, check in with yourself. Are you coming from fear or from trust? Are you trying to control, or are you ready to flow when your energy is calm, secure, and open? You become magnetic. You become a place where a man doesn't just feel desire. He feels peace. He feels like he's home. Remember, building something deep and lasting isn't about being flawless. It's about being true, being emotionally present, kind, and ready to be seen while seeing him too. When you carry that kind of presence, you don't just find love, you grow it. You care for it. You build something that doesn't fade, but gets stronger. because real connection isn't discovered, it's made, moment by moment, through honesty, presence, and emotional honesty. So, here's the final message. Love that lasts isn't about being the prettiest, the most generous, or the most understanding. It's about standing in your own truth. When you know who you are, what you want, and what you won't accept, you naturally draw in someone who matches that energy too. And that's when love stops being confusing and starts feeling steady, secure, and deeply soulful. We've talked about what touches a man's heart, what pushes him away, and how to build emotional gravity that draws him near, but none of it matters if you don't put yourself first, because here's the real truth. Your next step isn't trying harder to earn his love, it's showing up so full of self-worth that you pull in the kind of love that never asks you to shrink. If there's only one thing I hope you take from this whole message, it's this. You don't have to run after love. You become it. You become the kind of woman a man is drawn to, not because he has to, not because he's scared to lose you, but because being with you feels honest, calming, and like home. Here's what you do next. Start being more emotionally aware. Notice when you're reacting out of fear. Talk to him how you'd want someone to talk to you. Don't be afraid to express your needs, but do it with grace, not demand. And if you're unsure, take a breath, pause, and let your energy lead the way. Remember, you're not here to beg someone to stay. You're here to recognize who's worth walking beside you. So step fully into that energy, live it, breathe it, and see what changes. Not just in your relationship, but in every part of your life. And if this message touched something in you, you know what to do. Like, share, comment, and tell me below. What emotional shift are you going to start making today? Because this isn't just another talk. It's your time. And your love story starts now.